Right folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to be doing a documented series on engine building. I've got a couple here, so there's a lot of things I really want to be sharing with you guys, and each episode is going to be quite short, but it's going to be really informative just to help you guys out when you're rebuilding an engine and give you some tips and tricks. Now, this is all stuff that I've learned over the last 20 plus years being a mechanic. Some of it has come to light recently that I've only just learned. Others I've learned along the way, or I've retained that knowledge from when I went to TAFE all those years ago. So on this episode, we're going to be talking about cam bearings, and we're going to be talking about the studs and threads inside the engine block, cylinder head, and most importantly, gearbox. Right, so one thing I want to talk about in this episode are the studs, the threads, whether it be male, female, and most importantly, the cam bearings. Now, this is all information that I've learned and retained over the last 20 years, and some of it I've just learned recently. So I want to help share it with you guys if you want to go rebuild an engine. Now, please note, this is the way that I do it. It is not the right way. It is not the way you should do it. It's just the way that I do it. If you've got any discrepancies or you want to add to the comments, please do so down below. Let's jump straight into it. So one thing you want to be doing is when you get the engine block, cylinder heads, the gearbox, diff, whatever it is, back from a machine shop, is you want to clean absolutely everything. All of the oil ways, the oil galleries, the passages, any of the holes in anything, whether it be in the crank, journals, whether it be in the mains, the big ends, the caps, the oil pump, anything that has a hole in it that travels water or coolant, clean it out. You may need to get yourself a little wire brush to get in there to clean it out. You may need like a pipe cleaner, you may need compressed air, you may even need to also run it through a chemical bath. If a hot wash or a chemical bath isn't something that your engine shop does, you can get these oil caps out of here. So these are the oil gallery caps, should I say, sorry. You can just pull those out, thread a thread into there, and then get a fitting, attach it to it, block the other ones off, and then just pump it full of kerosene in a kerosene bath or a parts washer. Something that is going to be able to move fluid through there just to help get rid of all the stuff that's built up inside. All of the chemical and stuff that the machine shop may have done, it's going to retain inside there, and you want that thing as clean as possible, because if you don't, you're going to find that when you reassemble it, it may have the smallest bit of swarf that then gets in the oil pump, and it will not take long to destroy your engine from the inside out. So this episode, we're going to be talking about two things. One is the camshaft bearing, and two are the stud holes, whether it be threads, male or female. And let's start off by talking about the threads. Essentially what you want to be doing is running a tap through every single one of them, or even a die, depending if it's a male or a female thread. This will ensure that the thread is not only clean, but it also removes any of the debris. The amount of stuff that you pull out of these threads, the block may have been sitting around for the last 5 to 10 years. It may be the original block. It may have just been sitting in someone's shed for the last 40 years. You just don't know, especially when you buy a bare engine block. So all that swarf, debris, dirt, oil, crud, anything that gets inside there, that is going to be what stops the engine from doing what it's meant to. So let's just say, for instance, we're putting the transfer case housing on here. We've got a gasket that runs around there and the studs that go through the side here. If we decide that it'll be fine and we torque it up, it may be okay. The threads may be all right, although it may not be. It may not bite properly, so therefore the stud doesn't go all the way in, therefore it's limiting its torque. We then go to apply a torque wrench to it and tighten it up, and then it snaps. We think, oh crikey, we've done the wrong thing. We pull it out, we put another one in, the same thing keeps happening. So when swarf gets to the bottom of something and then you compress it using a bolt or a stud, it's then going to limit its depth and therefore won't be able to get tightened far enough, and therefore you can damage the thread on the other side of it. So it's important to make sure you run a tap through each one of them, blow it out with a bit of compressed air, make sure you wear safety glasses when you do it. This is a really important part to make sure that all of them are clean. That way you can ensure that when you put everything back together, everything's clean, there's no swarf, no debris, and most importantly, you can torque it up to the right torque setting on each one. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are the camshaft bearings. There are 3 cam bearings to suit the A series engine. You want to make sure that the machine shop has put them in the right way. If you look at the photo on the screen at the moment, you'll see that there are 2 different holes. So let's just turn this engine over and let's just describe what we can see. Essentially, there are 2 holes. There's an oval hole and there is a round hole. The oval hole needs to face the main bearings. So this one just here. So this is your mains, and then these are your big ends. The big ends are what attach the conrod to the crankshaft. So the ovaled hole needs to face the big end. If it doesn't, with every revolution of the camshaft, it is going to be pouring oil to the top of the cylinder head. Now you're probably wondering why, Tomo, does that need to be limited? Don't you want as much oil there as you can? Well, yes, in a way you do. You want to make sure that it is being well lubricated. However, the way that it's designed is these holes are offset. With every revolution of the camshaft, it grabs a bunch of oil, sends it to the top, and then the next revolution grabs a bunch of oil and then sends it to the top. Now, if this doesn't happen every revolution of the camshaft, it is going to be pouring oil pressure directly from the oil pump through the engine block all the way up to the cylinder head. In time, this can fill the rocker cover full of oil and even start pushing it out of the the breathers at the top of the engine, and therefore you're going to get an oil spill, contamination, any sort of pressure that's inside there. It's going to cause what you think is excessive blow-by. It's going to push oil fumes out everywhere, and it's going to make a mess of your engine bay, recontaminating the engine. It's going to destroy the back of the valves. It's going to start burning oil. You're going to go through this massive process and go, what the hell is going on? I must have to rebuild my engine. You rebuild it, and then lo and behold, the same thing happens again down the track. So it's important to make sure that if you are replacing these bearings, which we're going to do in another episode, that you fit them the correct way. The small hole faces the top of the engine, so towards the cylinder head. The larger hole faces the main bearing, this one just here. It needs to be done that way. If not, you reassemble the engine, and as I said, it just creates this big snowball effect of issues where it can just go through and just pump the cylinder head full of oil, which isn't a bad thing, but it may not be able to drain back fast enough and therefore can just overflow out the breather. One thing quickly, just on all of the thread holes, one thing I like to do is once they're all cleaned out, I like to go through with a drill and just drill out the top threads. That way, as the threads wear over time, so you may put a bolt in there, you might pull it out a couple of times. Once you compress the bolt inside there, it'll then actually start to lift the thread. John Schmidt, the Mini King, may rest in peace, taught me that when you are doing a cylinder head gasket replacement, it's important to make sure that you just chamfer those edges. The reason for that is over time, the threads start to pull up out of the block, therefore it's not a flat surface, and once you then go to torque it down, it can then cause the premature head gasket failure. If this method is applied to all of the bolts, nuts, ancillaries on the vehicle, you'll find that everything will mate nice and smoothly. So this is the best practice to do when the engine is completely stripped, so there is nothing in there whatsoever. That way, if there's any swarf or debris, it's not going to end up going inside the bearings, inside the pistons or the cylinders. You're not going to damage anything and run the risk that any swarf that you get out of there is going to go inside the engine. Now, you can use a deburring tool, you can use a standard drill. All you need to do is just 1 or 2 cuts just to give that a little bit of a taper. That way when you mate it with another surface, so for instance, in our case, it might be the gearbox just here. When the gasket goes on there, when you pull the bolt in there or the stud, you'll find that it will pull it in nice and tight, and therefore won't pull the threads out and therefore cause a leak between these two surfaces. So I think that's pretty much all for this episode. There are a bunch more things I'm going to go over with you guys. Hope you really enjoyed this one. This is one of many mini episodes, and yes, that is pun intended, should I say, that I want to do with engine building. If you've got any tips or tricks, please leave them in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch you on the next episode of Tomo's Tune-Ups with the Tomo's Tech Tips of engine building.